Hello, all. My greetings to all my soul friends. My greetings to every divine being out there. I am Neela, and I've come here today to share my experiences and wisdom with you all. I've started meditation since the year 2008, and I've sat down on this path because of my cousins Vishwa and Ishwaranaya. I'm going to talk a little about myself first. Since my childhood, I was really into reading. I loved reading a lot. Books were my only friends. My mom was very particular that I should not be distracted with anything. And the only thing she let me pursue was studies. And she was also keen on me developing my language abilities. That's why she encouraged me to read lots of books. She used to take me to library. She was very strict and very disciplined and made sure that I was very disciplined. After every day, the class, whatever was covered in the class sessions, I used to study all of them and I used to learn all of them by heart by the end of the day. This way, she made sure that I was prepared for exams at any point of time. The teacher could come up the very next day and give me a quiz, and I must have been prepared. That was her goal. She pushed me through all of it throughout my childhood. And the only friends and the only companionship that I had were books and music. I loved A.R. Rahman's music. I loved music in general, but A.R. Rahman in particular. I felt I had a connection that whenever I listened to his music, I could just forget about everything else and just submerge myself in the bliss of it all. And growing up, that's how I grew up. I used to wake up only with his music, and I would also hurry up to school and then come back and then listen to his music and so on. These were my companions while growing up. And also I had this deep interest towards anything that's ancient. You see, my grandmother, just like every grandparent tells their grandchildren about stories of tales of our itihasas of like Ramayana, Mahabharata, or Dashavataram. My grandmother too used to tell me bedtime stories about all of these avataras, the Savatarams. And I used to ask her, just like every child, I used to go back and I used to request her, please tell me this story, please repeat this story. She used to say, didn't you just listen to it? And I used to say, it's all right. I would love to listen to it again and again and again. I loved what happened back then. I wondered about all the abilities that the devas or the rakshasas or even humans had at that point of time. The concept of the yugas, like the Satya Yuga, Treta, Dwapara, Kali Yugas, all of this really enthralled me. It surprised me. Everything that the universe is about. How did this come into existence? How did it come about? Why are we the way we are? If everyone could achieve so much back in those yugas, why is it that people now around me are so mundane? Why are they just going about their life, uh, you know, like it's nothing special? They grudge about waking up, they grudge about going to office or any workplace, and then they come back and they follow their daily routine. There's nothing very special about what's going on now when compared to what happened back then. There are no abilities that those people talked about. Back then the sages had the power of uh, third eye, or astral travel, or cursing someone, or if they was used to grant boons to everyone. And you can see from our tales of scripture or of scriptures that when humans when they wanted to please god, and when they did, they were eventually granted boons. I wondered why everything is not like that today. And when I questioned my elders, they told me that this could be because we are in Kali Yuga, and if you want to please God, you would have to do lots of pujas and pulaskaras. And that's what I set out to do. because I thought, okay, if that's what pleases God, then maybe I should do that, and that would help me be in an exalted state, is what I thought. This went on till my 10th standard. And then it was in intermediate that I met Vishwa, who was my cousin. And she introduced me to this path of meditation. You see, because I was not allowed to pursue any other art, I couldn't try out dancing or martial arts or even singing for that matter. Whatever I did was, a trial on my own. But then when I met her in intermediate, it was like a dream come true, because she taught me all those things that I always wanted to do. And she also answered all those questions that were inside me deep down. I almost gave up on everything, because I used to watch those movies of any Hollywood movie, for example. They talk about all those abilities. I'm not sure how many of you must have watched Doctor Strange, but it is a deeply spiritual movie. In that, it was clearly shown how the protagonist comes to India or Tibet, and then he enters a monastery and he achieves all those powers through meditation. All of this was possible. I used to look at all these movies, read all these books, and wonder how is it that we could achieve something like that? How is it that all of this would be in fact possible? And all these questions were answered in intermediate when I met her. She showed me with live examples how not only she, but the rest of her batch or the rest of the fellow meditators that she had taught or come in contact with so far actually achieved something. She taught me about everything, about how to check, how to gaze at your own aura, how to meditate, how to overcome the fears, and how to interpret any of the meditational experiences that we get, or how do we interpret dreams, and so on and so forth. And the best thing of all is she taught me how to learn or study well, that so that I'd be able to crack the exams. She gave me tips for that. And she also taught me dance and martial arts. She introduced me to them. And it was a very gala time. I had a gala time doing all that. And I also felt whatever discipline that my mom has made sure I had was just in preparation to be with my cousins. You see, right from my childhood, I was also, because I listened to all those stories, I was very, very enthralled with with the concept of Gurukula. What happened in Gurukulas? A student, when he used to come to a certain age, he was taken to a Gurukula, to an abled master who used to live far off in a forest, and he used to be left there. And despite his social status, or despite whether he's a son of a king or a priest or anyone else, he used to be taught all those kalas. Like we have in our ancient Indian history, we have 64 kalas, kalas. Now we have maths and physics and so on. But back then we have 64 arts. We have a list of the 64 arts that everyone was supposed to be well versed in. So a guru would teach them all to their students, and there was no partiality. Everyone was the same. And they used to be um, you know rigorously exposed to tough practices, and seva of the guru and everything. They used to live, even if he was a prince, he would still go to the Gurukula, stay at those surroundings amidst the nature along with the rest, as if he was any other kid. And he would be well versed in all of those arts by the time he's, you know, by the time his tenure at the Gurukula was completed. That's how it used to be back then. So this concept really, it drew me. I wondered how would it be, because if we had that system now, I always had that respect towards gurus. And now, after all the discipline that my mom, subjected me to, after that, that when I went Vishwa, it was like it was a preparation for me. And that's how I learned. I stepped into arts, and after I completed my intermediate, then that's when my experiences with meditation also started. In the beginning, I had the normal experiences of seeing all the sculptures of particular parts of my body. But this thing that continued back then till date was the drawing sort of energy that I have near my forehead region that continues till date. Not only that, while everyone used to talk about their experiences of third eye and so on and so forth, I had experiences of a different sort. Whenever I close my eyes and sit down, and when I go deep into into meditation, I get stories of some sort. It's not exactly vision. It's almost like bunks of information wrapped in a sort of story that would end every minute. It feels like it ends in a minute, and then one more starts, and one more starts, and so on. These are different situations that come pop up, and they show me something, and and then it turns into something else. Just like our dreams have no exact connectivity. Once we start dreaming, anything could happen. These stories that I used to get are something similar to that, that I still get, are something similar to that. Not only that, when I meditated, I had this almost electric sort of energy that is pushing me through to, you know, come out of that meditation posture. It was, I still remember it happened on Guru Purnami. When I sat down, it was very tough for me to resist it, because it was something that's compelling me to open my eyes. And because it was almost as if something is repelling each and every cell in my body. But that, I guess the test was to see how long I'd continue. And not only that, I used to get experiences that are related to bugs or worms. I would talk about that. I would elaborate more on that in the later part of our class. I used to get all these sorts of experiences, and then uh, after I completed my intermediate, I joined a, mechanical engineering degree. You see, everyone advised me to go for something that's suitable for girls, but physics, I was really into physics, because physics talks about everything that's around us. So I thought, why not? And I went for mechanical engineering. And that is when I could practically apply everything that I ever wanted to do. I started taking part in many and almost all of the competitions. I used to take part in singing, drawing, dancing, quiz, just a minute, elocution, whatnot, everything, story writing, treasure hunts. And the best part was I used to win almost all of them. I could show you the prizes that I have at the later part of a class. But all of this was not planned, because I was not allowed to take part in anything till then. Whatever happened when I used to take part in those competitions was still enigma for me. That is because as soon as I used to enter and start, let it be anything, let it be the story writing competition, I used to gaze at the picture, and when I used to start the first line or sentence, the rest of the story used to flow through me. I had no clue how it's coming through, but it just went on as a flow. This used to happen for almost all of them, because I had no prior preparation for it, because the topic is unknown. It's not even like I had done this 100 times or so. But I used to just connect somehow, and I used to share all of these with Anaya, Ishwar Anaya. He used to be very happy about it, and he used to say that This is what it is. This is how it feels like to be connected with yourself. And with and when you're connected with yourself, it's almost like you're connected with the entire universe. Not only this, till my 10th standard or so, I read all the classics, like Jane Austen's book, or Emily Bronte, or all those classics that we usually have. But the introduction to metaphysical books that really matter, is was again through Vishwa, because I got to know about Jonathan Livingston Seagull and Ramta, the White Book. These were my first books. And the possibility, because you know how Jonathan Livingston Seagull is, and you know how Ramta is, the possibility that something like this not only exists, but the life experiences of those masters blew me away. And in BTech, I could continue that reading of metaphysical books. I started reading book on sun gazing by Hiraratan Manek, and the books like Carlos Castaneda's Art of Dreaming, Lobsang Rampa, and so on, so on, so on. I was suggested, Vishwa used to suggest me the names of these books, and I used to go on and read them all. And I used to also share these experiences with them, because whenever I read a certain book, because I'm so much into reading, when I start reading, it's not like an activity for me. Once I start reading, it's almost like I am the character, or I am the book that I am reading. I am usually so engrossed in reading it that I forget time of about food or sleep and everything else. But also, people usually laugh and cry when they watch movies. It's the same thing with me when I read books. And uh, also, when I read books, for that entire period of time, no matter whether it's one day or one week, no matter how long I take to complete reading that book, once during that period of time, I used to get experiences that are related to the subject in the book. For example, when I used to read this book on astral travel, or on dreaming, I used to clearly have the sensation of my body of my astral body. I didn't realize that at the back of the time, back in that time, but that the sensation of the body going through different mediums, like different water, like a water body or space, or so on and so forth. I used to have those experiences. It was also during this time that I practiced sun gazing. It went on till 5.5 to 6 months, because after that the rainy season came up and I could no longer continue it. But I could clearly find a difference in my body, because I no longer used to feel hungry, because whatever we are consuming right now is a secondary source of uh, food intake. You could all take this for example. What do? We being vegetarians, we consume plants. what where do plants, I mean, by consuming plants we gain whatever energy that we need. How do plants form? They take energy from sun. That's how they convert it into chlorophyll, and grow up. So they are the primary sources of the sunlight. And because we consume plants, we take in sun energy in a secondary form. And because I was getting the energy directly from the sun here, I was no longer hungry. Nor was I, becoming very pale or very thin and anemic or anything. I was very healthy. I was pretty healthy, and I did not feel hungry during that period of time. But I still had to eat at least once a day, because, uh, you know, I was in college and everyone else used to worry and so on. And this was also the time when I got to experiment with the book called Secret by Rhonda Byrne. This was also the time when when I experimented on the book, The Secret by Rhonda Byrne. That concept, because whatever was written down there was, it felt like Satya, and I started experimenting it on my studies. For the entire 4 years of time, I never had, I always thought I'd get a single experiment. I thought, why not? Why not experiment with this? And I decided that I'd get a single experiment for both my internal and external. This started in my first year of BTech. Whatever the computer C program, we had C in our in one as one of our subjects, and whatever Fibonacci sequence was the experiment. I still remember that we had to write a program on that. I got the same for internal and external. Even if something happened, even if I didn't get it in the beginning for the external, though I didn't get it in the beginning, the invigilator realized that the page number was somehow, misgiven. The page, the particular number, that the slot that I had was given to someone else, and it was exchanged in the last minute. And when I looked at it, it was again Fibonacci. And the same thing continued for the 4 years. Not only C, let it be engineering lab or mechanics or thermodynamics or strength of materials, or anything for that matter. I used to get the same experiment. This was one of those experiments that I had, and I had a lot of fun with it. It's not that I didn't want to prepare the rest of it, but this was a way of, finding out how would it apply. And the reason I was able to apply it because the reason I was able to apply it was because this, you know, this law, this law of attraction is as, pakka, as sure or as inevitable as the law of gravity. This is no less. When you take an object and let it fall down, is there any other way out? Is there any way it will float in the air, or is there any way it would go up instead, or is there any way that anything else would happen? It's something that is bound to happen. That's the way it is. And law of attraction is something similar. And I could even take you through this in the in the aspect of physics. Mm, how why does law of gravity work? It's just that the object, or we, or anything for that matter, is attracted to earth, and so does earth, is attracted to earth, and we also attract earth, in vice versa. But the reason why we can't take objects, so take this for example, and take me, this object attracts me and I attract this object because we are at a vicinity. But the reason why it doesn't come to me just like it goes to earth is because my gravitational pull, the gravitational pull that I have, is not enough, is not sufficient for this to come towards me. But that is not the case with the earth, because the earth is a heavenly body. Because of the mass of the earth, this happens. Just like every object has a pull of its own, similarly, every object, or every being has this law of attraction. Because what are thoughts? Thoughts are not nothing but energy. Again, we are all energy beings. Not only our soul, not only our soul, which is consciousness, but all of our seven bodies, or even the physical body for that matter. Everything is made up of energy, right? Take that body for example. What is an atom? The smallest possible particle, or the smallest possible thing that any material can be split into without losing its original property is nothing but an atom. If you take the atoms of this material, they retain the property of this material. The same thing happens with pillows or books or anything that is around us, right? So similarly, take a physical body for that matter, and what is the smallest possible particle that our body can be split into? It's again an atom. And what happened what is the law of quantum physics? Yeah, when this again came in the 1900s and so on. But what does quantum physics teaches? That a particle can behave either in a way, it can exist individually either as a particle or as a wave. it depends on the viewer. It depends on how the viewer is looking at it. If the viewer has the intention that this is going to be a particle and he looks at it, it stays as a particle. But whenever the viewer thinks of it as a wave and looks at it, it it changes into a wave. How does that happen? That is quantum physics. That is nothing but quantum physics. And all the eminent new age spiritual icons of this century and have come together to even do a movie on this topic. This movie is called What the Bleep Do We Know? It's available in YouTube. And if you could just, whenever you have the time, if you can go through it, you will find answers like, you will find things that will blow your mind away. All these scientists, quantum physicists, they came forth and explained how it is the way it is. And it's all in the movie. And one cannot help but be surprised or shocked or with all that information, because whatever's spoken there was true. And they have live experiments that that they conducted, and and they showed all of that in that movie. The movie's name is What the Bleep Do We Know? Bleep, BLEEP. And still available in YouTube. Everyone from Dr. Joe Dispenza, Greg Braden, and everyone's there in that movie. Guys, it's an important. I mean, it's an amazing movie. You should watch it whenever you have the time. So, because when we look at, so it's when we look at something, we are looking at it the way that it's behaving in a certain way. If you take a book, for example, it is staying a book because we know, we have in this belief system that it is in fact a book, because atoms or all those particles can behave in any way, in the way we think they behave in. Okay, this is again getting deep into quantum physics, so getting back to secrets. So that's how I was able to have the same thing come up for the entire 4 years. And not only that, whenever I used to give my exams, just before, a day before it, or a few hours before it, I used to get a certain feeling about certain questions, and those questions used to appear in the exam. And I also, later on, my friends benefited from it as well. um, you know they used to come up saying, hey, tomorrow's so and so exam, so what ones do you think, like, I think would, do you get a feeling about something? And I used to share it with all of them, and all the batch of us benefited from it. Also, by the third year or fourth year, I also became the prefect of our college. And I started organizing things. I used to give paper presentations. I used to take part in FM. I used to take part in government projects and everything. And by the end of fourth year, I got placed in a company, and I started working. But I realized that, looking at the work culture and everything, I felt that this is maybe not the company for me, and I started attending walk-ins, and I got placed at Amazon. And at Amazon, once I joined Amazon, I was also again able to do everything that I always wanted to do, but could not. Like, I learned martial arts to a degree that I was able to get my first Dawn black belt. And then I also completed my national referee training. I got both of these from Ishwar Anaya. He trained me in it. He's a 6 dan black belt right now. And I also started learning Kuchipudi, and I used to go to all our Dhyana Mahachakrams, and then Kattal, Bangalore, and Bangalore Pyramid Valley, and then Life University Vikarabad, and Vijayawada. I used to go to all these places along with our batch and perform in those events. And it was also during this time that I started that I got enrolled for post graduation in English because I love classics, because I love reading. I thought I would want to do masters in English, and then I completed my masters in English from IFLU English and Foreign Languages University. And I also joined. I also started learning music. I learned vocals from Nihal sir. He's uh, he's an amazing singer. He's in cine industry, and all of those famous singers like Sunita and so on. They used to they used to ask him for advice with regards to either the sahitya or the ragas and so on. He's a three times national winner uh, in music, in singing. Not only that, he was also an ambassador, Indian ambassador, when he had to move to Maldives. He was an amazing teacher, and I had the honor of learning vocals, Carnatic vocals from him. And then uh, once I started music, I realized that this is maybe something that I want to actually continue with in my life, because I really enjoyed the corporate culture or working for Amazon, because they treat their employees so well, and we used to have fun, we used to have outings, we used to hang out, because the Amazon's motto is have fun, make history. Work hard, have fun, make history. And we used to have all of that, and it allowed me to pursue everything else, because I was able to complete my Don 1 martial arts black belt there. I was able to complete my national referee training twice. I was able to complete my MA English. I used to submit all those assignments. I used to appear for exams, and I used to take part in all of these dance programs, and I used to attend trekkings. Trekkings were again such an important part of my life. I used to do all this while I was working. I still remember there were times where when I used to perform somewhere, rush to the office, clad in that classical attire, and then get ready, has haphazardly put on something else and just go and work. There were times when I used to do that, and it provided me the flexibility to do all of these things, and I really loved the time I had when I worked there. And but when it I later on realized that this is not what I want to continue with. And because of that, last year in 2019, I finally quit working there. I resigned, and then joined AR Rahman's Musical Institute, KM Conservatory in Chennai. It was an amazing time back then, though, because I wondered whether I'd be able to take that step or not. Because though I joined as an associate at Amazon, I then gradually moved to logistics department. I used to give exams. I mean, I used to attend interviews internally, and then moved to logistics department, where I became a permanent associate for that department from being a temporary one. And then I proceeded to become a lead. And then by the time I quit my job, I became a manager. And it was not an easy decision, because my family was here, and I had a stable job. I was having an amazing time, and quitting all this just to pursue my passion was not an easy decision to make. But I did it, and I had support from my cousins, and I persuaded my family. I saved up all my savings. I took all my savings, and I went and joined that institute, which is the KM Conservatory. Along with that, I also joined Sri Devi Nrityalaya, which is an elite dance Bharatanatyam institute in Chennai. Because of the pandemic, I had to come back here to Hyderabad. Uh, so that's how my journey took me here so far. And uh, I hope you are able to take a few points from my journey. And I would like to discuss like to discuss a few points with you all, and that is, how do we go on a journey from the known to unknown? So, in the beginning, we think, when we attend college, when we just come out into this, once we enter this earth, which is nothing but an amazing school. They say Bhumi Yoka Patasala. Earth is nothing but an amazing school, where we usually, in exams or tests that we take, we learn something and then we give the exam, right? We learn something, and we were that's when we are tested on anything or something. Let's take any subject for that matter, and that's when we are tested, and that's how we know, uh, and that's how we get the marks. But here in this school, we get tested, and that's how we learn. We get tested, experiences come to us, we go through some stuff, and how we react to it, or how we take it, is how we learn, or how that's how we take in, that's how we understand. And that happens here in here on earth. And at one point of time, we don't when we do not know stuff, we start learning, we start observing, we start taking in from the surroundings, we start learning from our parents, friends, a society, and so on. And it so comes that at one point of time, we think that we know a lot of things, because whatever we've subjected to so far will have an impact on us. We think that we are good at something, or we know a lot of stuff. But the the original journey starts when we admit to ourselves that what we know is a grain compared to the entire universe. Our journey starts when we realize that what we know is not enough, or what we know is so negligible compared to what we are yet to know. We have Ramta. Ramta none other than a walk-in that comes into an entity that is channeled through his daughter, JZ Knight, JZ Knight. And in one of his lectures, he quoted this. If we take a pie diagram as an example, the part that we know is less than 1%. If we take the part that we know is less than 1%, and we know that we don't know some stuff. For example, I know some stuff. I also know that I do not know some stuff, right? The stuff we know that we don't know occupies, say, 4%. We do not even know what we don't know. He even narrated an incident regarding this. When for the first time when the Europeans entered the American soil, they came out in these large ships, you know, uh, ships of uh, such huge stature that the Red Indians had no idea existed. When they were there in their natural habitat, and when they realized that the waves at the sea are lapping in a certain way, as if some huge object is coming towards them, they went near the beach. And when they looked at it, they realized that they can see human beings jumping out of the plain air onto the land. They could not, I mean, they sight, or they could not perceive that there were huge ships there. That was because their logical mind, or their eyes, or the brain could not even fathom that an object like that could exist. What do we see? How do we see? We see because our eyes, when they look at something, the light energy that's there is absorbed by our eyes, and we are actually looking at something through our brain, because it's the brain that understands what it is and sends signals back to the eyes, and that's how we see. We do not see with our eyes, we see with our brain. And their brain couldn't even fathom, couldn't even understand that something like that exists. And because of it, even though it was there in their plain sight, they didn't understand that there's an object, that it's an actual object. And they didn't even understand that, and that's why they couldn't even see it. So that is, they don't even know that an object like that exists. So they know some stuff, they don't know some stuff, and the stuff that they don't know, so I know something, they know some stuff, they know that they don't know some stuff, but they don't even know what they don't know. And these ships fell into that category. That's why they couldn't even view it. And when do we learn it? When we are a constant, when do we know about everything? When do we even try to absorb all there is? When we understand, when we accept that in fact that we indeed do not know a lot that's going on in the universe. It's they have a popular saying, it is not possible to fill up a cup that's already full, that's already half full. When can we fill a cup? When there's nothing inside, right? Similarly, when you admit that you don't know, when you realize that you do not know something, you are being an empty cup, which enables the knowledge or wisdom to come pouring inside the cup. But when that doesn't happen, when you think that, oh no, I know a lot, I know a lot of stuff, I know this, I know that, that is when the cup is full or almost full. And is it possible to pour anything in that cup? It just gets displaced. It's the same or similar thing with wisdom or knowledge, right? And also, once we admit it and once we start meditating, once we start surrendering to ourselves, our universe, or the nature surrounding us, it teaches us a lot in every aspect of our life. You can wake up and till we go to sleep, and even in our sleep we keep on learning stuff from everything that's around us. It could be something as simple as a pen, or or a plant, or your family member, or your relation, or anyone, or someone at your workplace, or anyone. You constantly keep on learning from everyone. And the key to doing this is being aware. It is when you stay aware that you imbibe things. It's when you stay aware not only of your body, but of the energy surrounding you, of everything that goes on around you, that you can absorb all of these things. All those, once I started on this path, once I sat down on this path, that's when I realized that every book that the youth gets attracted to is nothing but ESP or metaphysics that is veiled. It's nothing but metaphysics veiled. That's what they are indirectly getting attracted to. Um, because I was talking about awareness, I'll tell you about an incident that is depicted in a book called Aragon series by Christopher Paolini. It's a famous book series, and it was also later taken on as a movie. In that book, in the second part, Aragon, the protagonist, has to go prepare a sword for himself so that he can fight dragons with it and so on. But when he prepares that sword, he has to sit in meditation. It's actually written in that book that he has to sit and meditate, and he has to gain that energy and awareness to be able to prepare a weapon that can, that can be used in the wars. And when he does it, this entire description on how to be aware has lasted for at least 8 or 9 pages in that book. The reason why I took up this example and not one of our usual authors is because all of us read books, and when we go through it, we clearly know what they're talking about. And the best person, and I think I feel what I have connected with the and I feel that the author that I've connected with the most in regards to awareness is Eckhart Tolle. His books, the power of now, the new earth. Once you start reading it, you start questioning everything. You start questioning everything. You start examining each and every thought that comes to your mind. You start questioning yourself. You realize, uh, you realize a lot of things. I mean, I don't want to go deep into that, but Eckhart Tolle is we have many authors who teach all of this stuff. But the reason why I took this example is because this is from a book, that is out there, that everyone reads, not only a meditator, but everyone reads. But it's clearly written even in that book that when he sat down for meditation, he could, when he could even feel an ant that was trying to crawl its way on a leaf a few feet away. I mean, it's in a forest. He's in a forest. He sat down for meditation, and once he does it, once he understands the energy, the language of the energy, once he becomes aware, he could feel each and every breath of an animal, or a being in that forest. He could feel the sway of a leaf or the breeze that shook the trees. He could feel every miniature or minute activity that was going on around him. He could feel an ant crawl that was a number of feet away in that forest. He talks about awareness in that. We have many references in lots of books, if we know how to look at them. And why does it happen? How are those authors being able to bring something like that? How are they able to put down something like that in a book? It is because they are connected to the universe. It's not only us, it's not only the popular authors that we read, or our fellow meditators. It's it's uh, it's there in everyone. And when they connect with the universe, things like this naturally flow through in the books. So that's how aware we need to be. And once and when we are aware, things start coming to us. Experiences start coming to us. It doesn't have to have Experiences do not have to happen only and only when we sit down for meditating. They can happen at any point of time, when we are awake, and even when we are asleep, when we meditate, at any point of time. And I would also like to talk about how I overcame a few fears that I have. I didn't even realize, because we are talking about what we know and what we don't know, I didn't even know that I had a fear for bugs or worms for that matter. Because I realized that when in my meditations, I used to get a continuous images of bugs crawling through everywhere. I mean, they used to come in every form possible, either crawling on me, or I used to be in some other body, and they used to come. They used to come into my surroundings. They used to be filled. They used to be in cocoons, coming out of the cocoons. We used to, just like we escape from zombies, just like they escape from zombies in all those movies. We used to escape from the bugs. It was, the D-Day, the Doomsday, where the bugs used to come. Every possible situation used to come to me in these meditations. And uh, there was there were also incidents where I used to just see a mug filled with something like an orange juice or something, where used a bug was, uh, you know, about to be drowned in it, and it's trying, and it's just shivering, and it's తడుపునా అంటారు చూడండి. It's just trying to save its life. And the reason why I got that particular vision was because I used to drink Miranda and all those cool drinks, and that was the vision that has come to warn me that those drinks are not good for me. Not only looking at those visions, but we need to also understand what those visions teach us. I also overcame my fear of water. Though I had an amazing time at water whenever I visited beaches or so on and so forth, I was able to completely come out of it when I started to learn how to float. All you need, this again happened in one of the Dhyana Chakrams at Amaravati, where I was taught how to float. Anaya supported me to float. I mean, all we have to do is when we enter the water body, we need to let go of ourselves. We need to feel free. How many of us can actually enter a water and just leave their body be? Enough that it would float. Once we go into a certain depth, we feel like we are slipping, or even if we are stable, even if we try and put our feet up, we would be we'll have that fear that we'll go down and drown or something, right? But it was there that I learned how to float. Ishwaranya taught me how to float, and now I can do it at any point, at any place. Like I can, without anyone's help, I could just go into a swimming pool and float by myself. And I think maybe this was a why a certain test came to me in one of the trekkings that I attended. This happened in a trekking of Papikondalu. I and my cousin, both of us were floating in the river because we thought, oh, now we know how to float. We don't even need to know how to swim. We can just go about it. That's what we thought. And we started supporting each other. I mean, because both of us could not just float. Because when we float, what happens when we float? Just like we walk on earth, we feel the air around us, just how we feel the air around us. And we are not, I mean, we don't think much about it because this is our natural habitat, right? Just like uh, fish's natural habitat is the water, and it wouldn't think twice about how to survive there. We don't think twice about how to survive here. When we float, we accept the medium of water. When we, I mean, this doesn't happen in, I mean, in the first try, but once we accept, once we let go of the fear, once we lie down on the water, we will be able to balance it, because we are one with the water now. The water and us are no longer separate entities. It's almost like, and how it feels like is as if we are, if we ever fly on a cloud, if we ever or float on air, it's the same thing. When we are on water, it doesn't feel like water anymore, and once we master the art of floating, it doesn't even feel like it's water. It feels like we are floating on air. That's how it feels like. And we can even move our direction. I mean, we can go this way or that way or forward or back. We could just, with a slight, you know, movement of our hands, we can even uh, regulate where we go, where we can go. And because we, and if we don't mind, if we just go with the flow of water, we can go anywhere because water can take us anywhere. All we would feel is that we were on a balloon, or we are in the air, we are in thin air. That's what we'd feel like. With the flow of water, it would just take us and we'd just go, we wouldn't even realize it. And that's why my cousin and I, all the batch of that, we went to Papikondalu trekking. And there's this particular cousin of mine, Krish, and I, we were both floating. And one of us is floating so that we keep an eye on the other, just so that he or she wouldn't, one of us wouldn't just go to the middle of the river where we'd suddenly realize that we are nowhere here. So that's why one of us were keeping an eye. And it so happened that I was it so happened that I was walking at that point of time. I was walking, and my cousin was floating there, and he was just a few, a few. not even feet. It was just, he was not even 1 feet away. He was just there. And we realized that we had to go. And I called him and I called on, and he said he tried to stand up. And that's when he realized that there was no land beneath. And it turned out to be an out of body experience. Probably we'd talk more about it in some other class or something. So eventually what happened was that he realized that there was no land beneath, and he was about to be drowned when I joined him just so that I could support him. And we thought, I mean, this comes as a test. These are things that come to us as tests, because when we feel that we are good at something, maybe that we have mastered something, just like I've told a few moments ago, what happens here in earth, tests come to us, and that's how we learn something out of it. Here we thought that we have learned how to float, and then this test came to us. And because I joined him to support him, even I could feel that there's no water beneath, there's no land beneath, and I tried to float. But it's that because you know, I've I thought, we both thought we could float, but at that point of time, because we've already taken lots of water, uh, you need to be in a calm, relaxed state of mind without any fear. But he was already panicking, and then by the next second we realized that we were no longer near the shore, but we were somewhere in the middle of the river, and both of us do not know how to swim. And it felt like it happened for a few minutes, that both of us were stuck there with, both of us do not know swimming, we have no land beneath, no one was coming towards us. And that was when I felt like, oh, okay, this is what it feels like to maybe vacate the body. Those were the That was exactly what I felt. And then I went into some sort of a surrender state. It's like, okay, and it's like just letting go. It's like surrendering yourself. And immediately, when once that happened, I could feel someone pulling me, grabbing my hand, and pulling me in one direction. It wasn't like I felt I was able to feel everything that's going on. I could feel hands supporting me. I felt one hand, and then I felt multiple hands supporting me. But my eyes were closed. I could feel each and every sensation that's going on through. I could, very clearly understand every thoughts that come into my mind. I felt like I was in a complete conscious state. But they started pulling me towards the shore, me and my cousin. And that's when, but I was there immobile, but I could feel everything. And that's when my cousin panicked, thinking that about my cousin panicked because I was not responding. So he called out to me, and then I responded saying, it's okay, I'm here. I was very cool about it. And once they pulled me out, it was all a surreal experience, because later on we got to know that no one no one came to our immediate rescue, but someone very far away out on the sand has seen that two of those people were drowning in the middle of the river. And then he just came on rushing. He said that the moment that he saw us, he was taken over by someone else. I mean, he felt that he no longer felt that he was in control of the body. It was as if someone else has, you know, uh, entered, or I don't know, someone else has taken control. And 1 second he was there out on the sand, and the next second he was here at the river. And the next second he was swimming. He was a good swimmer, but he's not amazing. Like he's not someone who's a professional. But he just came rushing like a bullet into the water. People who saw him said that it was almost as if they saw a bullet coming in. He was that fast, and he was an old guy. He when people started seeing him entering, they joined and they maintained a chain, and that's how they pulled us out. But they clearly explained how it was as if And he clearly explained it's as if how he had no control, and it all he knew, and he didn't even realize that something like that was happening to him. He was an old guy. Where did he get that energy to just come fast and then pull us out like that? Later on, when I related this experience to GK sir or Newton sir, they confirmed that it's actually an out of body experience that has happened to me. So we never know. It's a beautiful our world out there. We never know what's going to happen, and when it does happen, it results in experiences. It was an amazing experience. This is something that I cherish, because I felt a lot of things at that point of time, and I felt it was also about overcoming my fear. There's no way I could, and after that I learned swimming later on. But that is one amazing experience that I had. I think it's almost 1 hour now. Let us meditate for 15 minutes. Let me play some music in a second. Are you into the music, Vani? Meditation for a few minutes. Okay, let us all now sit for meditation for a few minutes. Let us all close our eyes, clasp our hands and legs, and observe our normal breath. Let us relax each and every cell. Let us relax each and every cell in our body. If possible, it would help if the spine is straight. Otherwise, take a Sukhasana. Make sure your body is comfortable. Close your eyes. Clasp your hands and legs. Make sure that your that your head is a few degrees above than the normal horizontal position. Relax and feel the energy coursing through the entire body. I would also sing for you. Just go into the deep state. Just go into the deep state of relaxation. Let's sit down for 10 minutes. Yes, that's right. Relax your body. Feel the energy coursing through the cells in your body. Do not let the thoughts take you away. ಹೆಟ್ಟಾಗಯ್ಯ ಶಿವ ಶಿವ ನೀವನ್ನೀವಿಂತ ಆಟಲೇ పుట్టుక చావు యాతనాను రాసే నుదుటి రాతలే నింగి నేల అందరి బంధియే ప్రతి మనిషి బంధాలోని బాధకు మోదమొకటే వేదనొకటే జనులకి జగతిలో ఇట్టాగయ్యా శివ శివ నీవన్నీ వింత ఆటలే పుట్టుక చావు నడుమన మావన్నీ ఎదురు ఈతలే దయ చూడు శివ శివ లీలా శివ శివ భోలా శంకరుడా నీవే శంభో శివ శివ సాంబా శివ శివ చూపించు నీ కరుణా ఎట్టాగయ్యా శివ శివ నీవన్నీ వింత ఆటలే పుట్టుక చావు నడుమన మావన్నీ ఎదురు ఈతలే. In this song, it's explained that Shiva or the Atmalinga is none other than you. Jeevude Devudu is referring to the Shiva in you. Because nothing in this universe can happen without the Ajna of Shiva. Though we have come here in this way, though no matter how we are born, no matter how we are here, it's all by our own design. Because we are the creators of our own destiny. We need not search somewhere else for this. Because Jeevade Devudu, we decide how we are born. We decide which lessons we are about to undertake. We design when we are going to come. We design when we are going to leave. We think that all of this is in someone else's hands, but it isn't. It's all you. We need not think 100 thoughts because this Maya take us away. It would pull us in 100 different directions. But in actual, we need to realize that all the sorrow is because of the attachment. Bandhiye prati manishi, bandhaloni badaku. Every being is a prisoner because of the attachment that is here. What we need to realize is that this is all a Maya in actual, because everything that happens here is subject to duality. Vedanokate, modanokate, janulaki jagatilo. The happiness and also the sorrow that comes in a cycle is all a part of duality. Vedanokate, modanokate. And it also teaches us that Puttuka chavu nadumuna mavanni eduru eetale. That means in this Mahasagara, everyone will have to swim. Because that's what we are here for. Because Earth is nothing but a school. Right? Realize it. Understand and feel that it's actually a Maya or a construct that we are in. Everything that we perceive around us is not real. And we need to travel through ourselves. We need to find ourselves. We need to go into the shunyas and realize that that's all there is. This entire universe. And we are all one. Go through the unconditional love and the compassion coursing through us. That's that is us. That is what we need to exhibit. Yes. Go deep within yourself. We have come here in order to master the art of swimming this samsara sagar. And we have all the examples set by Buddha, Krishna, Muhammad, Jesus Christ, all the other enlightened beings, all of us. They have all realized that Jiva is Deva, that they are none other than the gods of creation here in the human world. As soon as we realize that, when we realize that we are none other than the Shiva, we can do Leelas. Otherwise, everything would feel like disturbance or a problem. Connect to that surrender state. Make sure your head is a few degrees above the horizontal plane. This way, we can invite more and more energies, more and more of the cosmic energy that the universe has for us to offer, for us, the universe has for us. Last 30 seconds. Many more seconds. Ten more seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Slowly place your palms on your face, covering your eyes. Observe the colors. Slowly open your eyes, looking at your palms. That is all. And I'd like to thank Vani for giving me this wonderful opportunity. I would also once again like to thank my cousins Vishwa and Ishwaranaya